Now, our task here is to help you navigate the tests. Sit for a particular test, get your script, and then ensure that you are able to review the answer. So this one is much more tailored to the test itself. The first thing, of course, would be we still need to log into the system. If you are already logged in, this is the computer screen, of course. If it's in the smartphone version, it will look like this, but you want to just check if you are already logged in. What would change here would be my dashboard, as well as the logout button will be available, and the card and login would have been removed by then. But I'm just going to do this tutorial using the desktop mode. We need to log in, of course, if we are not yet logged into the system. And then after that, we can attempt one simple test and show you how to gain the best out of that out of the test in terms of the feedback that you are getting. How do you review the answers? How do you save the scripts themselves so that in future you can be able to come back to them. So this is my course page. Anytime you feel like you are lost on the system, you are on the home page, or you are under about or anywhere else, and you want to get back to your content, you always have to find my course dashboard. If it's in the smartphone version, it will look like this. You are talking about my dashboard here at the very top. So I'll be using FMA to do that demonstration, I guess. Yeah, the complete course, but I'm purely focused on the tests themselves at this particular case. So it also applies to if you have the package that deals with purely mocks. That's also something that you can do. I'll be using this tutorial here. It appears under Welcome to FMA. In your tests, you will have your test labels labeled appropriately. Like under FMA, you have mock 1, you have mock 2, and you also have mock 2. But let's use this tutorial just to showcase how you deal with the questions underneath. So every particular test that you are dealing with, of course, will have the number of questions that are being listed and the number of minutes that you have to spare. And if you are using this under the desktop mode, or you're using your computer, here is the button here, the presenter mode, which you can click on to clean up the screen so that every other distraction goes away. The only thing that you have is the questions on your screen. And if you want to get back your navigator, the navigator on the left hand side here back, you can simply click again on this button. So let's start the test. The showcasing we are doing here is with regards to the type of questions that are available on the system. It has nothing to do with really these simple questions. So this one, because of the cycles that you see here, it demonstrates that the only option that is correct is one option. It's called single choice. Like you select white, if you select black, it changes. So the only answer that would be correct in this case is just one option. So then you can press the button next, and you do have these boxes here if you are to input correct answers. One thing that is key on the system, ensure that as you bring in your answers in here, you do not let's assume the first one is 110 and then the second one maybe it's 1200. Don't have separators, because the computer or the system would count that as a character. But rather simply say your answer. If it's 1.2, don't say 1,200. You're going to get it wrong if you do it that way, because all the answers have been set without separators. But if your answer is to a particular decimal place, of course you will conform to what the requirement is about. If of course it's 20.02, because we asked you to 2 decimal places, you can actually do that. And in some cases we say to 2 decimal places, but you find that the answer that you have found yourself is purely 20, you are bound to say 0.00, because the correct answer behind the system would have actually entailed the 00 as part of the separators. So this part of the question, let's get it right. Okay, let's get it wrong. on purpose, we'll just type 1100 and move on. The other thing that is important for you as you proceed with the test is that you have this navigator at the top here, where you can click on the questions one by one. If you have quite a number of them, of course, it will be at the top there, where you can find and skip through the questions themselves. The finish test button is always on the last question. So this is important when you are dealing with mocks that you may have acquired, where you need to refer back, because some of the questions under the mocks, they are split into scenarios, where you have section B, and then a particular question relates to a scenario that has been placed on a particular question. So for you to find such a scenario which has been properly labeled, you would have to return back to the top navigation bar at the top, like that. Alternatively, you can use your next button until you find next, or back to find what you are looking for. This type of a question is about a drag and drop. So you can press here and then pull this up or down. Even if you are using the smartphone, you can actually do that. Alternatively, the easier way to do it, if you want to send one to the very top, is to follow it up like this and then go all the way and send it at the very top. And then if the ascending order looks like this, you want to have 5 all the way down, you can have 5 like that, and then you can bring 3 to the top. This would surely be the correct way to do it. However, I just want to get it wrong on purpose, just to show you when we get to our final marks. Then we can say next. This one is about a drag and drop, where you want to align the correct points which are fixated in these boxes, but you want to press this one. I have pressed, and then I drag and I drop it in here, and then I drag this one also and I drop it in the right boxes. So I would really want to get this one right and then have it saved properly. Let's go to the last question. The last one is about multiple choice. So this is the type where quite a number of options are correct in as far as what you are dealing with is concerned. But generally, I guess if we are looking for animals, the ones that would be correct would be the ones that we have highlighted. So the amount of time that is available keeps on counting downwards. We can finish the test, of course, if we are already done, but otherwise the system can do that on our behalf if we don't finish the test on time. So let's finish it and see what is the next step after your test has been recorded. So remember, this is you using the computer or the laptop mode. Our score is actually shown here in the average, so that you can see the other candidates that have taken the same test as you, including your own score, because this keeps on dropping if I continue to get lesser marks as an individual myself. But what is also important is when you are in this page, ensure that before you leave this page, you click on the view questions button. It's very, very important, because it houses, I'm scrolling down gently, it houses all the questions that you dealt with, the question and the answer that you selected, the reasons for that, which you are going to really find helpful, and then the workings, if of course this one was with regards to calculations. So if you come into this one where we had ranking, the blue panel here, or the blue button correct, looks like this. Student, which is what you selected, looks like this. So the whole idea behind what I did was to ensure that you are able to see that. So all the questions, all of them would have narratives, of course, and then you want to see all of these pages, or the page itself, after you have attempted to the test. You can close this by clicking on the very same button, the view questions button. The next step that I want to show you is how can you save this script, the exact same script that you want, so that you can come back and review it in future. If you're using the laptop while you are still here, the system is protected. If you try to do a double click or pull out the content, you'll always see that alert button where we're telling you that the system is protected. But you can still save this script to your own computer so that you can view it offline or view it whenever you do need it in future. So the way you are going to do that, just on your keyboard, what you want to do is to press the button Control, press Control, then press S. So it's Control plus S. That way it will save, your computer will actually save the script or the page that you are in. So if I just do that, let's see. I want it to, okay. Control plus S actually allows you to save the script. So I'm going to save it into downloads exactly the way it looks, and then I just press the button save here. So if I already have something like this, then the computer will inform me so that I can replace that. So as you save this, even if you are offline, or if you want to come back to this, you are just going to go back to where you have saved it, and then double click on it. It will pop up. That is going to be helpful because some tests house quite a number of questions. So it's not easy for you to review them immediately after you have finished the test. So you want to ensure that you are always going to come back and click on this particular file here. So in my computer, this is what I'm referring to, the web page here. If I just double click like that, it will load this, but as a file from the computer. So even if I'm offline and I'm disconnected from the internet, I will still be able to get clearly one by one, which I can review in a much more relaxed manner to ensure that you are able to look at all the questions, of course, one by one. If you click on any button here like this, then it goes back into the internet where you lose that particular script. But if you want to go back to your script, where do we find it? Where you have saved it. Just click or double click again here, and then it will load that script together with your marks. So that way it makes your life easier, because you want to ensure you really study all the options that we had there, whether the answer was correct or whether it was incorrect. That way you would be ready to move on to the next tests after you have reviewed the first test that you looked into. If it's with regards to mocks, then you can move on to mock 2 when you are happy with your revision of mock 1, so that you can continue to be better as we do that. With that, let's end it right here.